Hello and welcome back. So it's been a minute since I did a recording. I'm doing my best to be consistent, and I know if you guys are struggling with the same thing, and so I'm just sharing my own experience. That way, you can know that you are not alone. Whatever it is that you are in your journey, you are not alone. We mostly go through the same kinds of trouble, the same kinds of problems, the same kind of roadblocks. But as one of the best quotes that I had is the obstacle is the way. And so I need you guys to put in the effort, regardless of how you feel, regardless of whatever is standing in the way, regardless of whatever belief systems that are trying to prevent you from actually actualizing what it is that you want to achieve. So here we go. So for today's episode, we'll be talking about expert knowledge or valuable expert knowledge. Now, in the last episodes, we talked about rediscovering your expertise. What is your expertise? And we then talked about how to becoming an expert and the types of expert businesses. And we saw that one of the main things I saw that one of the main things is when it comes to this journey, one of the fundamental things that I learned is how important it is to forget about like the perfect mentality. And what you're trying to do here is to just find like a broad category or a broad. So we saw how important it is to find like a broad category, or this is what we call the North Star. And so and sailors in the past, before we had all this technology and GPS and whatnot, sailors would use the stars to to kind of navigate. And so they'd find one such points a particular direction, they would just follow it in that general category, and they would somehow eventually land to the place where they wanted to go. And so some of the main highlights or the main objectives of the previous episodes was to show you guys how I ended up finding my North Star. And so what we did in those episodes is we talked about, finding the broad category or some of the things that you're at least interested in. Now, you may not be exactly sure where you're going, but at least you have an idea of the general direction of where you want to go. So it can be either north or east or west or south, but regardless it is, you have to have a general direction of where you're going. And so if you've been following me for the previous episodes, I showed you how I arrived at my general direction, and I suggest that you do the same in case you haven't already found a general direction. At the very least, you should know what your North Star is. Now, for this episode, we're going to start off at the very basic level. And this is also where I'm at, or I'm taking that position. I'm doing it like I am brand spanking new. Basically, just going off. One of my cousins told me that the way he learned swimming was he went with his friends on a boat and then he was dumped in the ocean, about 300, 400 meters from the beach. And then from there on, he learned how to swim. And so he had to swim his way back to save his life. And so this is the same kind of scenario here without the risk of death, obviously. But this is the same kind of scenario. And so it's actually my cousin, though. And so this is kind of the same scenario, but you're just going straight into the deep and we're going to learn to swim as we kind of, as we find our way back or to where we want to go. And so I'm doing it like I'm brand spanking new. That means I'm not relying on any connections. I don't have a coach or a consultant or anything like that. I'm just basically relying on the books that I'm reading, the advice from experts that I find online and whatnot, the same kind of information that you lot can find if you just do a quick Google search or a YouTube search. And so basically there's no connection, there is no expert status, no expert status. So I'm not known, I'm not some industry guru or some expert that people know and hail, and probably some social media expert or something like that. I have none of that. I have no list. That means I don't have subscribers or whatnot. I have zero experience in this specific category, but I have worked online over a few years, and this is what I've learned consistently. And basically, this channel is basically a crystallization of some of the basic fundamental things that I learned, especially when it comes to starting an online business or even starting your own personal brand. And so basically when I say talk about no experience, I mean no experience in this particular field. And nothing to my name except my last name. And a desire to be and to do and be something. And I'm sure if you guys are listening to this, you also have that same desire to be something, to do something with your lives and actually be something. You just have a desire to make something of yourself. And so like me, I'm going to assume that you're brand new, you want to start, an online business, a personal brand, whatever it is. Maybe you're not even sure what it is that you want to start. But I invite you nonetheless to follow me along this journey. Because even for me, to be honest, I don't really know what the end is, but I do have a general direction. That's why I said it's very important to actually find your North Star. And so I know I'm going to be creating content online. I know I'm going to be sharing everything that I'm learning as I'm going on this journey to become an expert. And so I know I'm going to be an expert at something. I'm going to be very good at something. The end thereof, I don't really know what it is. And so I just invite you guys just to pick your North Star and actually just, commit and dedicate yourself and be persistent and actually just focus on that. And so I know most of you guys, you want to start an online business, you want to become a content creator, you want to work from home and enjoy all the benefits of working from home. That includes like, spending more time with your family. Whatever the reason is, maybe you want to be sleeping margaritas at the beach, whatever it is, whatever you're using, buckle up, because this is whereby we roll our sleeves up and actually dig the trenches and fight for what you want. And so this is what I'm doing. So every day it's a battle whereby I'm struggling to leave the old me behind, the old me that was, inconsistent, that wasn't persistent, that wasn't dedicated, that wasn't committed. So I'm struggling to fight every day to leave that person behind, to create this new version of myself, that we were to actualize the dream that I have towards this channel, actually becoming an expert and becoming someone that has a positive impact on society and the lives of others, including all of you guys who are listening to me. And so this is like, the proverbial tap on your shoulder whereby I'm calling you and to actually just join me in this journey. What do you have to lose? You have absolutely nothing to lose. And so let's try. Yeah? And so this is the basic training. I'm fresh off the boat and I'm not considering anything of the past. This is a fresh start. And I'm sharing everything that I'm doing. Now, I don't plan on wasting mine or your time. So one of the first things that we need to do is to find your north. So if you haven't done that already, I highly suggest you pause this episode and go back and actually watch the first few episodes on this channel about discovering your expertise and who is an expert and what is becoming, and the types of expert businesses, because it's going to be fundamental to the journey that we're doing so far. And so if you miss that out, you find yourself lagging behind it. So it's very important that you actually do that first. Now, so here's the thing now. So I narrowed down my expertise to an area whereby I'm going to be teaching you guys about starting an online business and actually marketing it. Now, over time, I'm going to improve this. I'm going to find out probably a nice, snappy slogan or something like that. But for now, that's just kind of the broad category of what I'm doing here. Is basically I'm just teaching you guys, I'm just showing you guys steps that I'm taking to start an expert business, teaching you guys how to start an expert business. So I guess you can call it something like that. But still, we'll find, find where it is that you want to be, or the kind of slogan that you're going to use. But enough for that. It's not about perfection. It's about getting progress. It's about progress, not perfection. It's about progress, not perfection. And so I narrowed my direction to becoming, teaching you guys how to become experts as I become an expert. And so that is my North Star. That is my broad category. Now we'll narrow down. And then I went on to narrow down to a specific area. And so using the North Star analogy, you want to think about it like narrowing down to a specific location, area, or country. And so if you're traveling like the old travelers, you pick like the east, and they would go east and then they went China, or they go to the west until they make the United States. And just all these stories we hear about Christopher Columbus and Marco Polo. And so one of the things about this was they were explorers, but they had to have a direction. At one point, they would just go and go and go until they found something. And so this is just basically the basic category or the broad category. Now, what is this talking about? Now, when you talk about the North Star here, in more marketing terms or business stuff, we're talking about finding your expert niche. Now, remember the title of this episode is Expert Knowledge or Valuable Expert Knowledge. And you find the relationship between expert knowledge and your expert niche. Because here's the thing about picking a niche. One of the things I learned is that there are too many gurus, or there are too many experts who are broad category gurus. But if you want to really stand out, you have to be good at really one area, one specific area. So you can't be a jack of all trades. You have to pick one specific trade that you're going to master, you're going to become the best at. And so one of the first things that you have to do is pick your expert niche. And the expert niche here has is that three main pillars, or the foundations of the expert niche are three main pillars. Now, but before we get to that, let's talk about what a niche is exactly. So I did a quick Google search and I found vocabulary.com, which kind of sums up what a niche is perfectly. Now, it's a space that's all yours. It can be a physical location or a professional specialty. Now, I really like that definition because it kind of captures what it is you're trying to do. You're trying to find your own space, to carve out your own specific area in this broad category of business, the business economy or the digital world. You're trying to carve your own piece of land therein. And so that's why I really love this definition, because it talks about finding your own experts, finding your own physical space or a professional specialty. Now, this implies there's people willing to pay for this professional specialty. Now, at its basic level, that is what a niche is. At the most fundamental level, that is what a niche is. And so finding your own, carving your own space in the market. And the whole idea works like a three-legged stool. That is, a niche or your niches, a niche or your niche, or the area that you're going to develop yourself to become your expert niche, you're going to be knowledgeable enough so that it can become your expert niche, is made up of three main pillars. And that includes, first person is you. The second pillar is the people you're going to help or your audience. And the third pillar is the market or the marketplace. And so that is the three legs of that three-legged stool. So you have you, your audience, and the marketplace. And so you need to find a balance between those three. That way you can be able to sit on this three-legged stool that is called your niche. And this is a stool that this kind of the pedestal that you'll be able to sit on as an expert. And so you need to be able to find a balance between the three. Now, one of the first things I did when coming to starting this channel is, and I shared with you guys this in the first episode, is how to create a list of all your interest. Is creating a list of all your interest areas. And so I highly recommend that you do that if you haven't already done that. And then from then on, you can just narrow it down to areas that you'll be willing to work on for the next 3 to 5 years in a process, for the next 3 to 5 years. And so in this practice or this sort of session of the workbook they're doing here, what I suggested is to find areas that you're remotely interested in, things that you've had even a remote interest, no matter how tiny. If you have to use a percentage, even if you had 1% interest in that area, I just like to write it down, note it down, and just note it down. And then I want you to narrow down to the areas that you'll be willing to work on for the next 3 to 5 years consistently. The areas that excite you, that you'll be willing to dive deeper into. Okay? And so if you're into fitness, probably you can find fitness, and then you can go deeper into bodybuilding, and then you can go deeper into becoming like a fitness model, and that can become your explanation, becoming a fitness model. Or if you're a woman, for instance, and you're trying to lose weight, you can start from weight loss. It can be the North Star. Your broad category can be weight loss, and then you can go deeper into weight loss after pregnancy, and then you can go deeper, maybe how to maintain your weight even while you're pregnant or still be healthy. And so you've got so many explanations, but we're going to talk about how to narrow it down even deeper in that. I'm just giving you an idea of what we mean when we talk about an expert niche. And so one of the first things that I did is to create a list of all my interest areas, and then I narrowed it down to some of the areas that I'll be willing to work on for the next 3 to 5 years, in a process where, I'll be willing, and I'm not saying this haphazardly. It's a process whereby you're willing to invest the time and the energy each and every single day to develop yourself, to become better at it, and to actually become a master in that specific area. So you have to be willing to invest thousands of hours to become a master. I talk about the 10,000 hours rule. And so in the last episodes, you should have found your North Star, or the general direction of what you want or what you're interested in. And that is your broad category of an interest area that kind of, that kind of tickles your fancy. An interest area that you'll be willing to work on. Okay, so just even if you're doing like something as rap. I know a guy, I don't remember his name, but he specializes in freestyle rap. And he does this he's known for, let me see if I can remember his name. I know, I seem to forget. But there's a guy who specializes on freestyle rap. He's a rapper, but he specializes in freestyle rap. And for the past decade, I think 2 decades, or he's been specializing in just freestyle rapping. And he's one of the best there is when it comes to freestyle rap. And so that's give you an idea of a broad category of what it is. And so you have to have, my hope is, as I did, I hope that you guys can also do the same thing, and whereby you can find a general direction, and then you can be able to find something that you're willing to invest in for 3 to 5 years. And then from then on, I can help you, or I can show you how I'm able to narrow down my area of expertise to actually teaching you guys how to become experts in whatever field that you're choosing. And so this is why I shared with you guys some of the questions I used to narrow down my superpower. I remember we talked about the superpower or your gift. And we talked about what is it that people come to you for advice for? What is it you help people naturally with? What is that thing that you do that comes naturally easy to you? Those are some of the questions that I asked in the previous episodes that would help you narrow down your expert niche. And so whatever your gift is, whatever it is that you want to call it, that is the most important thing. That way you would highlight or be able to identify some of your interest areas, write them all down, even if they're 10 or 50. I don't care, just write them down, and then start off, just checking off the things that you'll not be willing to do for 3 to 5 years. And then from then on, you have narrowed down, you have even a smaller list, and even a smaller list. And so do it this day, and then the next day have a smaller list. And you need to narrow down to at least one area or 1 to 3 areas that you can try. At most, no more than 3. Okay? And then from then on, if you've done that, then you should have a head start, and you should be able to, You have made so much progress. I know right now it doesn't seem like much, but you've made so much progress, because one of the biggest things that I learned, one of the biggest obstacles that I had to overcome is actually the process of decision making, actually making that decision to actually pick something. Okay, so it's better to make a decision and to be a wrong decision than not make a decision at all, because here's the thing. When you don't make a decision, time still goes by. It's better to make a decision. At least you will know a week from now, or 2 weeks from now, even a year from now, that was the bad decision and you can change it. But instead of not making any decision and waiting there for 10 years and you still haven't made a decision. And so here's what I suggest. Just go for broke. Pick something. Doesn't matter. Anything that you're remotely interested. If you think about it and you have a smile on your face, that's the one. Okay, the first 2-3 areas that you find that you get a smile on your face, that you'll be willing to invest in the time and the effort to study and to learn each and every single day without getting bored, that is the area that I want you guys to pick. And then for the next video, I'm going to talk about some of the other pillars of this three-legged stool that we call the expert niche. All right, thanks guys for listening, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys in the comment section below. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe the video. And see you in the next episode. Bye.